an encore performance about street life. Next. And welcome to the Stan Simpson Show, a program about Connecticut people and compelling issues. Make it a point to drop it every week. It's an encore performance about street life and drug dealing in Hartford neighborhoods. The play is called Flipside. It has been described as a riveting drama focusing on a Hartford teen named Bo and an undercover narcotics agent named Nick. The play incorporates music and poetry. It can be seen at the Hollander Building on Asylum Street throughout the end of October. Today, we talk with actor and lead poet Cindy Martinez and artistic director and founder of HartBeat Ensemble, Greg Tate, about this venture. Then we'll wrap things up with our relationship expert, Pastor T.C. Brantley. He stops in and gives his advice to two high-profile couples reportedly on the outs, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, and Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. The provocative pastor will also talk about his new book, Crack Tiara, Recovering from Affairs, Disappointments and Abuse Within the Marriage. But first, backed by popular demand, Flipside. We've got Greg Tate, Cindy Martinez. This play kicked off, last year to rave reviews?
In the springtime.
Yeah, so what's the whole background? Street life in Hartford, what are you trying to do? What's the message here?
The message is the tagline is the high is never what you think.
The high is never what you think. All right, so there's kind of a double entendre, baby. High and smoking and getting high versus the highs of life, I'm guessing?
Yes, exactly. And the high that we're talking about for the undercover narcotics agents is the high, the rush, the adrenaline, the chase of chasing down dealers. And on the flip side, Bo, the young man, gets the same rush out of being a dealer.
So whose idea was this? What's the genesis of this play? Who started it? Where did the idea come from?
We've got our New Play Institute, where we develop a play one year and then we produce it the next, and at the same time that we're producing a play, we're in development for a new one. So that we create a new play every 2 years is what we're working at.
But why street life? Was there somebody was there a cop you kind of modeled this after? Was there a street person who you said there's always an inspiration? Where does the inspiration come from?
Well, actually, what we do for all our plays is that it's all interview based. So we've met a character that we portray through Nick Carter in the play. It's a real person, just like the Bo character is a real person. We did a lot of interviewing. How many?
60.
At least 60 interviews, and we've developed characters and stories from there for the show Flipside.
So you think is a real person with a real cop?
Oh, yes.
Oh, real? So was an undercover cop? Okay, interesting.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Actually, his name is Jack Cole, and he spent his entire life as an undercover cop. And then when he retired, he founded the organization Law Enforcement Against Prohibition.
Yes, I've talked to him. I know who he is. Yes, now you mentioned the name. Okay, interesting. So now the dialogue now. Let's take a look at the trailer first of the play, and we'll talk more about the play. Okay?
Okay.
Flipside.
The highest level what you think it is. Now listen while we testify. Now listen while we testify. When you were told you had the right to remain silent, whoever, whatever, wherever, we will be whoever, whatever, and wherever we need to be. We are obliged to let this story speak. We're bringing you that raw dose that in your face this will make you scratch your head and scream and lose your breath. When you were told you had the right to remain silent,
all right, it's called Flipside, so you're combining a little bit of music, right? Dance, drama. Let's see you do. What is that like to put together a play like this from start to finish? The rehearsal time, people go and see the shows, they see the actual performance. A lot of rehearsing, a lot of mistakes, a lot of time to ad-lib. Talk about rehearsing part of this.
Well, as an ensemble company, we really believe in a consensus and opening the door to everyone who's involved to sort of tighten up things in the script and, get some good ideas going. And so although Greg Tate did direct Flipside, you know, it was a group process from the spring, from actually winter into the spring, with rehearsing, improvising, and then going back to the script, and, you know, just making sure that things are authentic as possible, and that people can really relate to the stories being told and the characters that they see on stage.
How much improv is involved? Because it seems like the best plays, the best stories, you've got to give the actors and actress some latitude.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? So talk about that.
So during the rehearsal, you know, the character Nick or Bo, or even the chorus members, which are all women, we would, you know, hit the stage, and lead writer Julia Rosenblatt would just have her pad and paper and just taking notes, and we play around till that light hits, and we move on to the next thing.
How much ad-libbing is involved? When you're on the set, you rehearse, you have some room for improv. How many times you go on stage, you're performing, you simply freeze and forget, and you just kind of wing it? How many times has that happened?
Well, it hasn't happened because we've rehearsed way too much for that.
Greg is laughing. I don't know about that. Greg is saying, I don't know, Greg, is that true?
A little bit, but nothing crazy.
What happens there? Because when it happens, is it scary, or is it sort of energizing?
It's energizing. I mean, we stay within the context, so it's, you know, we don't go really left with it, but...
I've never seen it. To be honest, with this cast, I've never seen them go up on anything that they've been rehearsing. They rehearsed it for 4 months, and they came up with most of it. You know, and so there was a lot of improvising that, like she said, ended up with, oh yeah, that's it, that's right, that's the right thing, and that's what got put down on paper, and that's what they're following. So it's, you know, the need to improvise is kind of gone out of this process, because they created the play out of improvising a lot of stuff.
So you had that rhythm already set through practice.
Absolutely. Right?
So street life now, I mean, there's a whole voice out there. When you talk about Hartford streets, any street, any neighborhood, there are voices out there that need to be heard. From Bo's standpoint, what is his story? What is it that he's trying to attain?
Well, you know, he's a kid who had a mom who's bipolar, lost parental rights, and then a dad who's just ill. He's just unhealthy, and so he has to carry the load of the family as a little sister, and so that's where he comes from, and that's what's going on in his life. And, you know, not to say that's an excuse to turn to selling drugs, but, you know, sometimes it is what it is.
Gangs involved too in this?
No, actually it isn't. You know, and a lot of the myths of the drug war we're kind of dispelling in this play. It's not only an urban problem. You know, there's 83% of overdoses in the small towns and rural areas in Connecticut. 83% of overdoses. This is not just a city. This is not a city problem.
Well, truth be told, the folks are selling, right, their market is a suburban market for the most part, right?
So, you know, and then, you know, dispelling the whole every drug dealer is a killer, he's a bad guy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. There's always two sides to a story. There's always a flip side to something. So we're just showing you different perspectives of different angles. And so, you know, just letting people just sit back, get entertained, but think about it also.
And what is Nick's story? Here's the undercover cop. What is his angle on this? Is he empathetic to the community or mean-spirited?
We go 30 years back to the beginning of his career to him retiring, so you get to see sort of the arc in his career and how the drug game changed from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s.
How so?
Well, what happens in the course of the play is we have a chorus of Cindy, Tanisha Dugan, and Julia Rosenblatt, who's also the lead writer. They're the women of the community that these guys live in. They play Nick's wife, Bo's girlfriend, women on the street, Bo's mother, and the whole thing is kind of reflected through their eyes. And what happens is, over the course of the play, is they stop Nick at the point where, well, I can't exactly tell you where, but at a crucial point, and they roll his life back and let him see it. Kind of a
cathartic experience for Nick, huh?
Right.
All right, we'll talk more. Without blowing the whole play, we'll talk more about it. Now, I'm intrigued now. All right, when we come back, folks, we'll talk more about street life in Hartford and a play, Flipside, that gives voice to those challenges. You're watching the Stan Simpson Show. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, too.